Hi, it's Chris Watkin here, and I'm with Joe Rylett here today to tell me why he joined a self-employed agency, EXP. Welcome and for joining me today, Joe.
Thank you, Chris.
When did you first become an estate agent?
About 15 years ago.
Okay. Where was that?
Rickmansworth, Croxley Green, sort
All
of
right.
Chorley-Wood-Toe, just
Northwest
outside.
London?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Are you lad from around there?
I'm from Watford,
Okay.
which is next door.
Okay.
So yeah, and lived and brought up in Watford and schooled in Watford. So
Did you weren't an estate agent to start with in life, though, were you?
the previous job before that was a police officer.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So what made you go from being a copper to being an estate agent? I mean, obviously policing the streets, but now with an estate agency.
Absolutely no idea. I left the police force. It wasn't going to work for me for 30 years, so decided to get out of that, and then went into that temping. Unemployed temping is the same thing, isn't
Yes.
it? Bits and bobs, and then bumped into a friend of mine who I played rugby with and said, "I've got a job going in the estate agency. Do you fancy that?" And I said, "No, couldn't think of anything worse. Don't like estate agents. Can't see myself being one of them." 4 weeks later, I was still didn't have a job. Bumped into him again, and one thing led to another, and went in as a 27-year-old trainee negotiator on the lowest basic going. So,
What did you enjoy about negging?
obviously, I enjoyed getting out and meeting people, having different experiences every day with the police and previous things I'd done. So I actually enjoyed running around like a lunatic from one place to another. That sort of fast pace. When I started, I enjoyed.
So that was 04, 05, so the market was doing really well at that point, wasn't it?
It was, just before obviously what happened, sort of 07, 08. So it was actually really quite buoyant, and some of the commission, you were getting double your, and then more than your base, double your basic, some months. So I remember my best commission months ever, still to this day, were back then when I was on my lowest basic. Yeah.
When did you start becoming a valuer lister?
Started to progress quite quickly up to senior neg and then valuer within 18 months, something like that, because I was a little bit older, a little bit mature, so it came fairly quickly. And then I think it was only about 5 years before sort of assistant manager, and then 6 years as branch manager.
So what year did you make branch manager then?
Probably year 6, between 5 and 6.
So that's 2010, around there.
Yeah.
So tough times then, market, mate.
Yeah, so it had switched. I bought a house at the end of 2007, so I went through my own experience of something going down, which was my first experience, something like that, but that actually taught me good skills, and then being able to chat people through difficult markets as well. So
Okay. So was it always with this independent agent, or did you go over to a corporate agent?
12 and a half years with that one, and it was, apart from the guy that ran the company, I was the person that people associated with that company.
So that was so you basically worked for one guy up until what, 2017, 2018?
Yeah.
Did the boss offer you any equity in the business?
No, nothing like that.
Did you ever ask for it?
No, just went through the roles and switched around a few roles at the end, switched a few offices because I was having my own sort of not loving it, not being comfortable, so I went through different offices. And
When you say you didn't love it, what you said to me at the start of the conversation that you enjoyed the valuing because you were meeting people. What was missing from your life towards the end of here?
In the end, it was everyone uses the phrase, don't they? Fell out of love with it, and I was still running around from one place to another really, really fast, and I was a yes man. I always say yes to everyone. I've learnt not to do that now. I always try and do everything and please everyone, and I was running myself into the ground. And in the time you've been doing that, I've had 3 kids, so there's extra stresses that come into life, and you can't do everything and please everyone and go home and then keep that lot happy at home as well. So I needed to slow down a little bit, but it wasn't slowing down for me. I think there was an expectation that Joe would always do what he's done.
Were they? I don't use the word bribe, but were they paying you well at this point?
I went up with my salaries through the years. Commissions never got any better, and sometimes commission changed because of market and things were drawn back. So incentives became actually less through the years. And the company changed quite a lot. I loved the company at the beginning, and I was part of the original sort
What
of.
did you like about it?
There was loads of banter. There was loads of camaraderie. We all had good social nights out. But the longer it went, the turnover of the staff got quite a lot. So lots of new people came in, and I was there all that time. But there was new people all the time. And
why do you think it changed?
I don't want to talk about sort of
I don't want to talk about
bosses
names,
or things like that.
But just general.
Some people just like to
culture.
constantly change things because they feel like under pressure from the industry that we've got to do this today, we've got to do that
This
today.
was an independent agency with a number of offices, was it?
Yeah, 3 sort of offices. Yeah, it was. We'll change the uniform today. We'll move that person there today. If it wasn't things that weren't working. I thought things changed too often, and yeah, I got to a point where I thought, do I want to do this anymore? And I started to look at all sorts of crazy things,
What, even potentially leaving the business, leaving the
Yeah,
state agency?
Yeah, I looked at teaching, I looked at going back into doing something along sport and leisure, which was part of my sort of
I
degree.
mean, how old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
41.
41. So you're in your late 30s. You had 3 kids a couple of years ago.
Mm.
You were at a crossroads in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Scary?
Yeah, stressful. Yeah, had me a fair few issues that I had to deal with in terms of mental health. So I was trying to manage that as well. So didn't know what to do. Literally, it was crossroads. Didn't know whether to take a step back. Didn't know how to get out of that. Didn't know whether to just sort of dig in and stay at it. So,
what would you say your lowest point was at that point?
yeah, I had some issues. Used to go home various days, and there were some tearful moments. Stressed out with the job, stressed out with life. Also, struggled with sleep. If you're not going to sleep, you're not going to operate properly. So I knew I had some stuff I needed to sort, and I had to work out whether it was the job, the place, or something else. So,
What did your wife say about this?
just very, very supportive, and said the most obvious thing: you need to change something. And if it's your job, it's your job. I'll support you. If it's your complete career, then that's fine. But I'll support you in whatever you want to do. So she realised I wasn't happy. So.
How old are your kids at this point?
We're talking a few years ago. So I probably had a couple then, sort of 5 and 2/3.
Okay, so they weren't that old, but they knew damn well that there was something wrong with Dad.
No, probably not.
No.
Probably not. I keep it quiet.
Okay.
Bottled up and quiet.
But how was it? How did it feel bottling up? I know obviously you were able to talk to your wife, but that couldn't have been fun.
No, not good at all. And now when you speak to other people, you advise them to do completely the opposite, and open up and talk to people. So, yeah, not good at all.
And it made you feel really bad?
Yep, some real low moments, yeah.
So when did you hit rock bottom?
Weirdly, it was after I'd moved to another place. So I decided to test whether the grass was green on the other side after being somewhere a long time, and I handed in my notice, but I'd already set up a job with another company who I knew well. On the face of it, were a similar family-run independent business in my own town, Watford. It was going to improve travel to work, and I thought, and it looked like it was going to improve a little bit of time for me, a little bit slower. So I went there. Literally, I was only there a day, and I had a breakdown. And it was nothing more than, it was different computers, different phones, different people, different 4 walls, and I'd been in the same place 12 and a half years, and I panicked. And I got told by my mother-in-law to get my ass back in there, because you've got to have a job and make some money. Because I was thinking, I'm not going to do this one, and I am going to walk away from it. But I dug in, got some help, but I then knew I didn't want to be in. That made me realise I didn't want to be in a high street office, working for someone else. So I had a plan in the back of my mind. I was going to stay there, and it was only about 6-8 months down the line.
Was it hard work walking in the next day?
Did
Did they know you had a panic attack?
No, I told people a few months down the line, but I was up all night. I was crying my eyes out, and I was up all night, and I walked in there. Must have looked absolutely awful. Maybe people didn't notice. I don't think they did, actually. But I just then decided, don't be stupid. You've got to crack on with this, and got into it. I was good at it again. Enjoyed it. It was back to my roots of where I lived, where I went to school. great housing, 7, 8, 900 million pound properties, nice areas. But I knew in the back of my head, I'd already decided I didn't want to work here, and it was so different to the other place. It was too slow. So I had one place that was 100 miles an hour. This place was 10 miles an hour. I needed somewhere in between, basically.
So what did you decide to do then? Did you think, you could have set your own agency up, right? Joe Rylett Estate Agents, High Street in Watford.
It was all on the back of a fab packet at home. I'd done all the designs for logos, as I'm sure a lot of the guys will say. I'd looked at costings. I had a business plan. But the one thing that was holding me back was that I didn't have X amount of thousand sitting there to be able to start that.
How much did you need, roughly, to the nearest 10 grand? Was it 50, 60 or 100 grand?
I didn't think if it was going to be a small sort of humble thing, and if it was just going to be online, I didn't think I needed more than sort of 20 to 30 to cover kind of marketing portals, things like that for the first sort of year.
And you've got to put food on your table as well.
Well, now I've got to start earning straight away anyway, so I knew that. Let's be realistic. People say a 3-month pipeline. I was realistic and saying, well, let's just say you don't earn anything for 6 months. Just be brutal. And I decided. I didn't decide to look at other models. Something just literally popped up on LinkedIn, as it does, and then.
What, from Adam?
Yeah, I didn't know anything about EXP. I didn't know anything about the other ones. It just popped up and thought, okay, what's that? I'll investigate that. I couldn't believe I must have been living under a rock that I didn't know these things existed, basically.
I mean, did you go out and check any of the others out?
Yes. Yeah. So I then invested.
Which others impressed you? Mention names.
Do you know what? I spoke to people at Purple Bricks. I spoke to people at Keller Williams. So those, the EXP, Keller Williams, Purple Bricks were the three that I probably talked to the most, pursued the most. And the Purple Bricks thing, I was actually fairly close to doing something. But in the end, I sort of backed out from that. There was a lot going on with them at a certain point, and now obviously I've seen a lot go on with them as well as behind the scenes and speaking to a few people. And then I spoke to Keller Williams. I went to see them at London Bridge. Met a lovely lady called Nikki, who I'd seen from award ceremonies before in the past, and chatted to her. And I was very close there again. And I'd already spoken to Adam, and Adam talked too much and didn't let me talk, but we all talk too much, don't we?
We're estate agents.
Doing it now to catch a breath. And it just a million miles an hour, and I didn't take it all in properly. And then when I went to see Keller Williams, the numbers weren't as attractive as I thought they were. I was a little bit naive, and it didn't seem as personal as I wanted it to be. And I rang Adam and said, can we have a proper chat, not just over the phone? And he came to see me in Watford on a Sunday morning, and he sat there and he just let me sort of talk and tell a bit myself. And then that night, I just pressed the button on EXP. I just felt like it was going to be more about me with EXP sort of in the background, as opposed to with some other places, it's probably them and you're in the background. That was my gut anyway.
So when did you start with EXP?
November 24th.
Of 2019?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're now 6-8 months in. You've had a bit of COVID in between. How's it going?
COVID, as strange as it sounds, it's actually been not a bad thing for me, because I feel like I've come out of it far more sort of focused, a better version of myself, even more humble. But it was a good start. I couldn't have been lucky enough to, from putting a property on and banking, had a chain-free deal that went through in 31 days. So literally, that was $4,000 came in from that. That was a $4,000 and one deal into my bank account. I've never seen anything like that, and that was my first one. Second few went a little through quite quickly, within a few months. So that worry of not having any money straight away, it might not be the same for some other people, forget that, but I did well quite early. Then there was a little gap in the pipeline, and then obviously COVID's happened, but I've built that back up again now.
What's been the hardest thing?
Hardest thing. In those moments when because everyone still worries, everyone still sits there and fears that, oh, what if this doesn't work? In those moments when it might be a little bit quieter, or the phone's not ringing, or you haven't put a new property on this week, it's staying focused.
How do you stay focused?
Just look at the positive stuff that's happened, and look at the positive stuff that you know is going to happen with the things you've got coming. So not worry about it too much. We all worry about losing listings, instructions, or deals falling through, but it happens. It happens for a reason. You can't do anything about it. You just have to move on. It's a mindset which I didn't have before. I've totally got a different positive mindset now from a depressing one I had before.
And how's that come about? It because Adam is your leader. Does he help and guide and support you then?
Yeah. Talk with what happened to me, the talking to other people, getting some counselling. I had a life coach which done absolutely wonders for me, and then with EXP, talking to people all the time. There's a few of us that talk quite regularly, be it on the phone or WhatsApp. Ben, Scott, Adam. You can call any one of them up for a chat. You might want to call them up for just a bit of a hug or a back slap, and they'll do that. You won't have to talk about property. I wasn't even getting that in the company that I was employed for.
So it's almost like you're part of a tribe of like people who are in your position.
Yeah.
Who know what you're going through, because you can't talk to your missus because they don't know it, do they? They're almost too close to the coalface.
She's bored of me coming home and saying I've got 3 offers on this one today. She's heard it all before. But yeah, tribe, family. It's an unofficial team. Obviously, you're not all in the same office. You're not, but it is really an unofficial team behind the scenes that you can rely on. Plus, I'm doing things that are very simple that someone's just suggested. Do this letter or do this Facebook post. So you've got your own advisory council behind the scenes as well. Tips and advice.
So you're telling me, because the downside to self-employed estate agency as opposed to your own agency is that with your own agency, you get 100% of the fee, whilst with the self-employed agency, you're going to only keep 60, 70, 80% of it. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about giving that amount of money away?
For what? That's one of those. For what you get for it, the support, the network. One of the other things about me not doing my own thing was, and I'm not ashamed to admit it, I didn't want staff. I didn't want all the politics. I didn't want to manage people. I'd done it all, and that bit didn't interest me. Obviously, if this grows, you still have an ability to maybe bring people into the fold and maybe have a team, but that's not really what I wanted to do.
Are you looking to bring other EXP people underneath you in your patch?
I didn't set out for it, and at the moment I'm at a level of business where I can handle it. If it becomes too busy, I would look at that, but I wouldn't say that's literally my plan on paper.
Do you think the next bit is to almost take someone on for the admin support?
That's more likely, with some assistance there, but as a lot of the guys in this, a lot of us are control freaks. We like to do everything, but we can't do everything. So at the bare minimum, I think it might be someone to administrate or some phone help or something like that. So,
and where do you see yourself going forward in the next couple of years with EXP and the self-employed model?
Building. If all goes according to plan, which is looking like on paper at the end of this first year, I'll be happier. I'll have seen my kids more. I'll have earned more money. So for me, that's it. I don't need to complicate it with anything else. If those 3 things are hit, I'm happy. And then if each year I can just increase that sort of income and not lose the other things, I'm not looking to take on the world. That's it. There's a lot of people that have a clear business plan and a roadmap and stuff like that. Again, I'm happy to admit I'm quite, as it comes. I'm focused, but as it comes, I don't have a 10-point plan and go on all these kind of training. I learn through natural training in life, meeting people and learning stuff. So there's a plan to earn a good living, and then possibly grow the team. We have the potential to bring in other people to the model as well, which can bring us a little bonus as I call it. So that's something that I'm not hugely focused on, but I'm kind of people are attracted to me in that sense. So if I'm doing well, people LinkedIn, Facebook say, "Oh, can I have a chat with you?" And it happens naturally, as opposed to going out and trying to get people to join.
Thank you for your time today.
That's all right. Thank you. Cheers.